For Sagittarius, the point is, one, to share this abundance, this inner abundance, and two, to make the magic happen. That's actually what Sagittarius is about.
Hello and welcome to Astrology Insights. I'm Amber Rose,
I'm Vincent Botella.
and today we're going to be talking about Sagittarius energy, which is super interesting to me because two of the most important people in my life, my mum and my partner, are Sagittariuses or have their sun in Sagittarius, and a few more. So, Vincent, what can you tell us about Sagittarius energy?
Thank you. Um, well, basically, if I describe Sagittarius in general, the image that I use for Sagittarius is overflowing energy. Suppose you have a container and there's something inside that does not fit the container actually. It's overflowing. It goes back actually to the ancient image of God or the divine.
Hmm.
It was defined as, uh, in Latin, superflux, overflowing. In many ancient cosmologies, creation was an act of abundance. It was because the divine was overflowing in its own divinity that creation, as a sort of byproduct, started. That's in many cosmologies, also connected to astrology. Um, for me, this is connected to Sagittarius also on a psychological level or energetic level, in the sense that we all have a divine spark, as far as I'm concerned, at least. We all have a divine spark. We all have somewhere this Sagittarius energy overflowing, or at least we would like it to overflow. Um, Basically, Sagittarius energy is trying to either create circumstances or intuit, just feel, or arrange circumstances in such a way that the divine will reflect back on it. It wants to feel, to intuit, to recognize the divine, whatever it qualifies, whatever qualifies as divine for this particular person, this particular Sagittarius embodiment. That's I think, the most basic um, sort of philosophical sketch of Sagittarius energy. So on a more psychological level, you might have, they're known for their being very positive,
Mm-hmm.
which has to do with this overflowing energy. There are also people who, at least one type of Sagittarius people, are the people, I'm not sure how to describe this in English, but people like, when they come in, the party really starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
It's
life of the party.
the life of the party. Okay? I
Yeah.
didn't know that expression. That's a Sagittarius energy. Not, it doesn't need to be a Sagittarius person with a sun in Sagittarius, but this is the Sagittarius energy. The party starts when somebody embodies this divine energy. Another typical Sagittarius um, quality is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is actually Greek, from a Greek word for being possessed or being full of a god, being full of divine presence. Makes you enthusiastic about something. Inspiration, being an inspirational person, but also a person for whom inspiration is important. That's also Sagittarius energy in psyche. Um, Visionary, having visions about whatever, depends on what catches your attention or where your heart is, but having a vision about something, that's also Sagittarius energy. Wanting to explore things. Um, Compared to Scorpio, the sign before it, Scorpio is about investigation, diving into the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius is about exploring. It's more an expanding movement. It's about the whole horizon, um, the global, not just global in terms of the whole world, but I'm not sure if that's correct English. You know, the grand picture, um, sweeping statements, sweeping perception, sweeping this big movement.
Mm-hmm.
a big span of attention, uh, many subjects, many interconnections. As long as it's big and many and interconnected, it's Sagittarius. Um, Let me see. Also, in this overflowing energy, they like to influence. So, influencing, which is very popular nowadays on social media, influencers influencing is a Sagittarius energy. More old fashioned lobbying. Lobbying is Sagittarius energy. Especially if you're an enthusiast in lobbying for something, for your ideas, of bringing your ideas forth, spreading the word. So that's not really lobbying. That's more like when you feel a religious zeal, even for something that we formally don't consider religious, but it's just something where your heart is, and you spread the word for whatever it is that makes you so enthusiastic or inspired. Also connected to this positivity that I already mentioned is a huge self-confidence. A self-confidence that just not only expresses itself in the attitude of the person, say you are an embodiment of Sagittarius, or you're embodying temporarily Sagittarius energy, but also when you see the possible as if it's already there.
Okay.
So having to do with creating your own reality in whatever sense you mean that, but see, you can almost touch it. That's very much Sagittarius energy. Some people see some sign energies, also see many problems, only the problems or the details, or okay, what people do we need for this? But Sagittarius already sees it. That's also typical Sagittarius energy. And also an example of this overflowing energy, an urge to reach out to large groups of people, to collectives, any kind of collective. It might be a family, it might be school classes, it might be large audiences, it might be the whole world. This is also this spanning movement, this overflowing towards the collective, towards the horizon, towards everybody. It's also very much Sagittarius energy.
Beautiful. Wow, I recognize so much of what you have said there in these people in my life. That's really, really beautiful. Especially my partner, he's really a visionary and about connecting groups of people, really working with the collective.
Yeah.
And he's one of those people, like, he has an idea and he runs with it and he makes it happen. And he just seems to have this overflow exactly of energy to just pour into things and just keep going and keep going with this almost certainty that everything's just going to work out fine. And whereas I'm somebody that really
they have
doubts
divine
and
confidence.
I really see that. And I'm sometimes I'm like, how can you be so sure that I will? And I have a lot of Gemini, so I tend to always be in two minds about everything, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Whereas I'll like bring something to him and he puts it in the agenda, and 3 days later it's happened, and I'm just like, how? But this totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Super, super interesting. Okay, now can you dish the dirt on Sagittarius energy? What are their negative qualities that I need to be looking out for?
Well, as with all positive, negative qualities, I see them in terms of, can you identify with the energy? So then it's from a place of abundance. You feel this divine spark in you and you are able to overflow in whatever fashion it is. Or you feel emptiness, scarcity, and you're actually mimicking Sagittarius energy. Then that's what I consider negative Sagittarius energy. And that's, for example, taking up a lot of space. There's a difference between taking up a lot of space or having this overflowing enthusiasm, being the life of the party.
Okay.
And needing a lot of attention is a negative Sagittarius energy.
Kind of like someone arriving at the party and everyone being like, oh, wow, like you're here, and they've just automatically lit up that room. Yeah. Whereas somebody arriving at the party and being like, I'm here.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello. You know,
Are you
kind of
paying
having
attention?
to, yeah, having to
Yeah.
make themselves the
Actually, you're
focal point.
sucking the energy of the other people to fill this emptiness inside.
Okay.
That's what's happening. That's the exact reverse.
Hmm.
But the form sort of resembles Sagittarius energy. And
Okay.
that's how I think about all the signs. It's sort of an imitation of the form because some kind of emptiness.
Okay.
And it's, in this case, an emptiness of feeling this divine confidence, actually, that we
Okay.
all need, not just Sagittarius, Sun and Sagittarius, or Sagittarius rising sign people. Everybody needs this. Like
Hmm.
everybody needs all the zodiac signs in whatever mixture in your being. Um,
So anybody
yeah.
who has that false projection of confidence
Mm-hmm.
because they don't really have that divine confidence
Mm-hmm.
is expressing an unhealthy expression of Sagittarian energy.
Yeah. A
Okay.
lack of divine confidence, you might
Okay.
translate that to.
Yeah. More
Goes also
concise.
for people who are too optimistic. Sometimes it's really detrimental or bad or negative, really not a contribution to be positive against all odds. Like after a while, it's just meaningless,
Mm.
meaningless optimism.
This is interesting as well. Not that it's meaningless, but like for me, I'm somebody who really likes to ruminate in my emotions, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and sometimes if I'm feeling something, I need to really feel what I'm feeling before I can exit the emotion and take steps towards the next thing, you know. And my partner's very much a glass half full kind of guy. So if I'm in one of those states, he's like, look on the bright side. And I'm like, leave me alone in my cave of doom,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and we're kind of having
yeah,
to adjust there
yeah,
that
yeah.
sometimes I need to
Yeah, in a
be in the
negative
pessimism.
sense, a Sagittarius energy has trouble acknowledging the dark side of things, um, the deep, yeah, the deeper, darker side of things, of feelings, the night side, pain, scarcity, which are all real experiences.
Hmm.
It's not just something you make up in your mind, it's real.
Yeah.
It needs to be acknowledged. And for a Sagittarius, that's hard. Suppose you are a sort of Sagittarius comic character. It's it all has to be divine and positive. Say if you're hooked on Sagittarius energy, um, there's a compulsory tendency to see everything as a meaningful detail leading to a bright future,
Hmm.
when it would be maybe better to just address the issues at hand. So that's a negative
Interesting.
Sagittarius energy.
And then what about being neither in this? I can't remember what you just said about being like not addicted to, or being really wrapped up in Sagittarius energy.
Yeah, seeing everything as meaningful, everything
Right.
leading to a bright future.
Okay, so that would be an kind of an unhealthy
Mm-hmm.
expression of, or
Mm-hmm.
like a very magnified expression of
Mm-hmm.
it, like
Yeah,
overly
yeah.
optimistic, that
Well, it's
overflow
actually
of
a
optimism.
rigid expression.
Okay. So,
Um,
what else can you tell us about Sagittarius energy if it was expressing kind of in these more extreme
mhm.
realms?
A tendency to neglect reality, um, finding it hard to be concerned with details. Sagittarius is about this grand and sweeping gestures, perspectives, consciousness, and they overlook details. Pure Sagittarius energy overlooks details, doesn't like details, doesn't like all the setbacks of reality. That would be a negative Sagittarius expression. Also, a kind of restlessness or uneasiness, being not settled,
Mm.
unsettled. That's also too much of this overflowing energy. Like you cannot contain yourself. It's also a needing others to contain yourself. That's also a negative expression of Sagittarius.
Okay, so an inability to um, contain that restless energy
Your own
on
energy,
your own,
basically.
to contain your own
Yeah,
energy
yeah.
in any
If you
expression of
need
it.
people to push your back or to hold you back, that's you're not in control. You're sort of possessed by this Sagittarian energy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So something, I don't know, maybe I'm setting myself up for this one, asking this question on camera, But something that's popular in the Instagram world of
Hmm.
astrology, obviously all of the zodiac signs have their own little reels and memes about them. And something you said about Sagittarius energy, it's where Scorpio is depth,
Hmm.
Sagittarius is range,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
the expression. Something Sagittarius energy people have a reputation for is liking to roam and not being satisfied with one thing, whether it's one project, one relationship,
Hmm.
things like that, kind of a lack of commitment to
Hmm.
one thing in specific.
Yeah, I would consider that a negative Sagittarian energy, an energy from a place of lack or scarcity.
Okay. So that inability to contain their own energy,
Yeah, also
expressing.
the inability to focus on one project.
Hmm.
It's not some it's not something that Sagittarius is good at, focusing on one project, but that's not the point for Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, the point is one to share this abundance, this inner abundance, and two to make the magic happen. That's actually what Sagittarius is about. If you're just roaming and there's no magic at all, you're looking for that, but you're not realizing it. So
Okay.
something is missing here.
Okay.
You gotta feel your own energy. If you feel uncomfortable with yourself, if if you encounter whatever kind of being uncomfortable, you need to address that first, which is something Sagittarius doesn't like very much,
Mm.
but it's healthy because it can make you a much better, more pure expression of this wonderful Sagittarian energy.
Okay, beautiful. So it really, really, I mean, I guess it does for all of us. It's not just Sagittarius, like it's really about how we relate to ourselves that translates to how we relate to everything else. But for Sagittarius, it sounds like that's especially important for them
Mm-hmm.
to really connect with and understand their own energy and to feel their own boundaries and their own limits and their own ability to contain themselves. Because when they do that, everything that they bring to everything else
Mm-hmm.
will have a much purer energy attached
Yes,
to it.
yes, yes.
Beautiful.
If you're indeed a person with a lot of Sagittarius energy, that would be the way to go. For others, it's probably that you don't have so much Sagittarius energy, then it's probably more of a challenge to connect to this inner divine overflowing energy, um, no matter what the circumstances are. It's really this inner ability to see the magic, to see this divinity, this sparkle everywhere in the eyes of people, in nature, in cities, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's this positivity that some other people need.
Okay.
But from a Sagittarius point of view, it's very often inability to address the hard issues or emptiness that makes your expression of Sagittarius energy somewhat negative. So you need attention, you're roaming. You can be, they can be pushy also, even pushy in their optimism.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's all possible.
Super interesting. Okay, so what advice would you have for somebody who is relating to Sagittarian people?
It depends on what kind of person it is. I don't have a general advice. General advice would be I'm supposing that you are relating to say, a Sagittarius person with from a place of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say enjoy the abundance
Okay.
and allow the magic to happen.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's great advice.
yeah,
Thank you. I'll take that.
you're welcome.
Brilliant. Okay. Any last words on Sagittarius energy that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I've mentioned a few negative sides of Sagittarian energy. There are also some, you might say, more subtle negative sides about Sagittarian energy. And that's, you might call this believing in magic. Um, and when I try to rephrase that, it's actually confusing levels of reality. Sagittarius, very pure Sagittarius energy, is on this divine level and tends to perceive life from this divine level and to interpret symbolic images, like from, for example, coming from dreams or from visions, as if they are reality. That's Sagittarius, to see these, you might say, revelations coming from core energy, divine energy, source energy, um, and like symbols, visions, stuff like that, as reality, because it's the reality of Sagittarius. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be material reality, that it will be materialized. Then comes a, for Sagittarius, say, people, a more challenging phase where you have to appreciate levels of reality. That suppose you have a dream about your grandfather coming back from death. Your actual grandfather is in a very advanced stage of dementia, it's called in English. Yeah. So medically, there's no chance it's going to happen that he's going to come back from this dementia, or when he dies, that he might live again. Mm. But maybe that's not the point of the symbol. But when you're very much involved into Sagittarius energy, you might believe that it's still a possibility that he really might return to life or might return to full mental capacities. Mm. While it may be pointing to something else, that you will have to confront the real material condition of your grandfather. While on the other hand, the dream has meaning, but it has to do with maybe what the archetype of the grandfather, the wise grandfather, entails.
Lives on, the wise grandfather lives on.
And the archetypes are eternal presences. Mm-hmm. They can go away and come back. They don't have life cycles like we have. They can indeed disappear for a while because of all kinds of circumstances, dramatic circumstances, and then come back. Mm. But then it's that part, for example, of your grandfather that is also in you that is coming back.
And also with doing so much of our own inner work and our own healing, right? We have an opportunity to take qualities that maybe got lost in our lineage, or that our ancestors, you know, for men, their fathers, and grandfathers, for women, their mothers and grandmothers, that, you know, qualities, characteristics, aspects of them that weren't expressed in a healthy way because of their story, their family, their upbringing, their culture, etc. Yes. We're able to almost rebirth those qualities ourselves in a really positive way and live them on for the ones that come after us.
Exactly. And you put it exactly right. It's the qualities that you bring to life. It's not real people or traditions or whatever it is you want to bring to life. So this is sort of a subtle pitfall for everybody. Actually, everybody has Sagittarius energy. The divine can be manifested, but not always the way you expect it to be or the way you would like it to be, which is usually in a very literal, material sense. But the divine can always be manifested again and again. But very often it's through qualities, psychological qualities, emotional, mental qualities. It's a dimension of experience. In this case, in the example of the grandfather, it's probably the dimension of wisdom, this trust in wisdom that's inside every one of us. And especially within a lineage, if you have this strong connection with your father and your grandfather and the generations before, and there was wisdom in those people, but somehow it went away tragically.
Well, also in this example of dementia or Alzheimer's, it's a loss of that wisdom or a loss of that inability to communicate that wisdom. So there's that fear of like, oh no, this is going to be lost. And then the dream is symbolizing, no, it can be reborn through you. You can live it on.
Yeah. If you can appreciate the dream as a symbol instead of a sign about a literal thing happening. Yeah. But this is sort of a pitfall of Sagittarius energy, of trusting your inner images a little bit too much. And it can be adjusted a little bit if you accept reality as it is, with its limitations, things being irreversible. It's a bit of a hard thing for a Sagittarius to
Yeah.
accept, irreversibility. Um, and that there are several layers or levels in reality, which is actually very much a Sagittarian theme, because Sagittarius energy is also very philosophical.
Hmm. So it could even be as simple as kind of a reframe, an internal reframe for someone with Sagittarius
Mm-hmm.
energy from what does this mean
Mm-hmm.
to what could this mean for me or to me, or what meaning could this hold? What could I infer from this? It's a
Mm-hmm.
subtle difference, but
Yeah.
it takes it from direct and literal
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one truth, black and
Mm-hmm.
white,
Mm-hmm.
to that positive Sagittarian quality of exploration. Well, it
Yes.
could mean this, and it could mean this, and it could
Mm-hmm.
mean this, and then being able to actually consolidate that into something meaningful for the self.
Yes.
Very cool.
Beautiful explanation.
You too. Good
Thank you.
teamwork. So, then we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.